John Lynch is playing a dangerous game of high-stakes poker with the rest of the National Football League. Recently, our general manager tried to throw up a massive smokescreen, stating to the media that he did not think the San Francisco 49ers would draft a wide receiver early in the 2026 NFL Draft. But looking at the tape, understanding the financial realities of this roster, and knowing the historical tendencies of this front office, that statement is nothing more than pre-draft posturing. The quest for six demands constant offensive evolution, and the reality is that this team is absolutely liable to pull the trigger on a pass catcher at any point in the draft. Today, we are breaking down the perfect wide receiver prospect for the 49ers at every single spot in our current draft order. We are going to look at how these specific rookies fit into the intricate web of Kyle Shanahan's system, how they impact our long-term salary cap, and why finding a cheap dynamic weapon is the only way to keep our Super Bowl window wide open at Levi's Stadium. Before we dive into the specific prospects, we have to understand the financial architecture of our current wide receiver room. Lynch is playing the long game with this roster construction. We have massive financial commitments tied up in our core superstars, specifically Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. When you are perennial Super Bowl contenders, elite cap management is the difference between sustaining a dynasty and falling into a painful rebuild. You cannot pay every single veteran top-of-the-market money without eventually facing crippling dead money hits that paralyze your depth chart. To sustain this top-heavy roster, Lynch must find high-impact players on cost-controlled rookie contracts. This is why drafting a receiver in 2026 is not a luxury. It is a mathematical necessity to balance the books while keeping Brock Purdy surrounded by elite talent. Let us start with round 1, pick 27 overall. If the 49ers decide to call Lynch's bluff and take a receiver in the first round, the absolute perfect fit is Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana. There is a fierce debate in scouting circles right now about whether Cooper is the best prospect compared to guys like Denzel Boston and KC Conception. However, when you project these players into the 49ers' offensive system, it is abundantly clear that Cooper is the superior fit. The question is whether he actually falls to pick 27. If one of those top 3 guys is sitting there, will Lynch really pass that up? In my honest opinion, he shouldn't. Cooper possesses the exact physical profile and football IQ required to operate within Shanahan's offense. Everything in our passing game is predicated on the illusion of complexity. When we utilize pre-snap motion, we need receivers who can process defensive shifts on the fly. Cooper excels at diagnosing zone coverages and finding the soft spots. Furthermore, his ability to win off the line of scrimmage makes him a lethal weapon in our RPO, run-pass option game. When Brock Purdy pulls the ball and looks to the perimeter, he needs a receiver who has already established inside leverage. Cooper does this consistently, and his Wayaki, yield after catch, ability makes him a terrifying prospect for opposing secondaries. Moving into round 2, at pick 58 overall, the target shifts to Germie out of Alabama. This is where the draft gets incredibly interesting for the 49ers. Alabama used Bernard in a variety of creative ways to manufacture touches and get the ball in his hands in open space. He even took handoffs out of the backfield and threw passes on trick plays. That level of extreme versatility, combined with his elite short area separation, is exactly why the 49ers would be highly interested at this spot. Bernard does not possess blazing top-end track speed, and he is not the biggest receiver in the class, which is exactly why he should be available in the late second round. But in Shanahan's system, straight line speed is often secondary to route running precision and toughness. Bernard is a player who thrives in the dirty areas of the field. When we run our staple outside zone run concepts, the wide receivers are required to execute critical block assignments on the perimeter. If you cannot block, you cannot play for Kyle Shanahan. Bernard has shown the willingness to engage defensive backs and linebackers, securing the edge for Christian McCaffrey to turn the corner. His ability to operate out of the backfield also allows Shanahan to deploy him in the wide back role, providing valuable insurance and schematic continuity if Deebo Samuel misses time. Now we enter the critical middle rounds, specifically round 4, where the 49ers have a cluster of picks. This is where championships are won. This is where the scouting department earns its paychecks by finding specific traits that fit specific roles on the depth chart. At pick 127 overall, the 49ers should be targeting Brennan Thompson from Mississippi State. Thompson is a tiny receiver, and taking him any earlier than the 4th round is hard to justify from a value standpoint. However, the kid can absolutely fly. He possesses game-breaking speed and the ability to make plays deep down the field, which is an element every elite offense needs. The 49ers offense is heavily reliant on intermediate crossers and YAC, But to keep the opposing nickel defense honest, you need a designated field stretcher. Thompson forces the deep safety to respect the vertical third of the field, which inherently opens up the massive throwing lanes underneath for George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. If he falls to the 4th round, he is a perfect situational weapon. Just a few picks later, at pick 133 overall, the focus should shift to Josh Cameron out of Baylor. If you watch Cameron's tape, you are essentially looking at the Jawan Jennings starter kit. He is big, he is physical, he is incredibly tough, and he makes his living coming down with contested catches and fighting for tough yards after the catch. The 49ers value the power slot role immensely. Jennings has been a crucial piece of our third down offense for years, but as he ages and his contract status fluctuates, the front office needs to groom a successor. Cameron is lacking some of the route-running nuance and polish of a first-round pick, but that is exactly why the 49ers would be able to acquire him in round 4. Shanahan and his coaching staff can teach the nuances of the route tree. They cannot teach 6'2", 215 pounds of pure aggression. Cameron would immediately contribute on special teams and serve as a vital depth piece who can execute the crackback blocks required in our gap assignments. At pick 138 overall, the target is Kevin Coleman. Coleman is a pure, traditional slot receiver. He runs incredibly crisp routes and consistently finds ways to create separation at the top of his stem. He can work well enough with the ball in his hands to be a threat on quick screens and underneath concepts. He is physically limited regarding his catch radius and overall strength, but San Francisco desperately needs a reliable, slot-only option to diversify the offensive attack. When defenses play heavy man coverage against us, having a quick-twitch slot receiver who can win on a two-way go is invaluable for Brock Purdy. Coleman represents a safety valve, a player who can quickly defeat press coverage and provide an immediate target when the offensive line faces heavy blitz packages. Finally, at pick 139 overall, we look at Dejon Stribling out of Ole Miss. Stribling has excellent size and great speed, profiling as another developmental field stretcher. He is currently a bit limited to running a vertical route tree, mostly nines, posts, and deep overs, but he can make enough acrobatic catches in the air that big plays can come naturally with this player. In the 4th round, you are drafting for traits, and Stribling's combination of length and stride makes him an intriguing developmental project. If he spends a year on the practice squad or at the bottom of the depth chart learning the intricacies of Shanahan's playbook, he could develop into a highly cost-effective deep threat by 2027. Looking at the tape, it's clear that the 49ers have multiple avenues to upgrade their wide receiver room in this draft. Whether Lynch decides to make a splash in the 1st round with Omar Cooper Jr., or whether he waits to accumulate specialized weapons like Germie Bernard, Josh Cameron, and Brennan Thompson in the later rounds, the objective remains the same. This offense must continue to innovate. The rest of the league spends every offseason studying our all-22 film, trying to decode the outside zone and neutralize our pre-snap motion. By injecting young, hungry, and cost-controlled talent into the receiver room, we ensure that Brock Purdy has the necessary firepower to execute the playbook at the highest possible level. Furthermore, hitting on these draft picks allows John Lynch to maintain his masterful cap management, ensuring we have the financial flexibility to retain our defensive superstars like Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. The draft is the lifeblood of this franchise, and securing the right pass catchers is the next critical step in our journey back to the Super Bowl. That is the comprehensive draft breakdown for today's Goldmine Report. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on all things regarding the red and gold, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily, elite-level analysis. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Who is your dream wide receiver target for the 49ers in this draft? Go Niners and stay faithful.